Hi, I'm Matt from HockeyReviews.ca, and this is the Hockey Stick Man Pro Blackout. So there's absolutely no logos on here besides the flex right here, and this is just the stick itself. There's no markings or anything like that on here. This is kind of their own it's called the Blackout line, I believe, and they're just selling it at a pretty cheap price overall. And it's on their website next to their Pro Stocks and stuff. They claim that this is basically a Pro Stock stick without the price and branding and stuff like that. So we're going to take a look at this one and just talk about it. They sent me this quite a while ago, and full disclosure, they sent it to me for free to do a review on when I made a big purchase on a bunch of stuff. And I'm finally getting around to it now, so I'm really slow, so I apologize for that. But we're going to talk about this stick and how it performs and kind of go over the different sticks that they have and which you should kind of look out for. This one is, again, the Pro Blackout. I think it's $129.99 Canadian, and it comes in at above 400 grams. But before we begin this review, if you want to see me review any specific hockey equipment, please let the manufacturers on social media know. If you want to see me review a specific stick, reach out to them and say, hey, I would like to see Hockey Reviews review your product. It'd be greatly appreciated. Otherwise, if you want to support the channel and you're buying hockey equipment anyways, if you're in the US, check out the links in the description to Pure Hockey. If you're in Canada, to Hockey Supremacy. Clicking those links, making a purchase gives me a kickback so I can make more reviews and making more content. Otherwise, if you want to support the channel, check out Patreon, buy me coffee. Everything through those links always comes back right into the channel so I can make more content and doing more reviews. So like I said, this stick was given to me free, and a little bit of an overview for these. So they have a couple Pro Blackouts now. They have the Pro Blackout, which is this one, which is advertised at 420 grams and it's advertised as top at level or NHL stick or something like that. This one did come in somewhere around 420 grams. I can't find a picture of I took when it was originally arrived, and it's all taped up now, but like around 420, that's what you're looking at. And it's $129 Canadian. They have a couple curve options and everything there. It's a standard length stick and everything like that. So nothing crazy going on here. Now they do have some other options. They have an extra light option, which I haven't seen. I think it's 159, but it is supposedly around 400 grams, I believe. And they also have Pro Blackouts. They're slightly different. And specifically, they are this Pro. So Pro Stock Hockey Sticks Pro. They have a collab type thing with Pro Stock Hockey Sticks where if you look at the stick, it has, I think, a white or silver under here, and it's not a red line, so it's not 375 grams like this red line is. It is, I think, 400 grams. So it is slightly different than what this stick is. So when you're on their website and you're looking at the two sticks, look for like on the background, I'll show a picture of it. It says like Hockey Stick Man and Pro. Look for this Pro on the pictures of the stick, and you know what one you're getting. This one is not the Pro one. This one is their own, which they had their own source for and everything like that. So a very different stick, totally feels different, everything like that. So we'll compare these two a little bit, and we'll just talk about how this is and performs. For the tech on it, it is just a normal standard weave, not the crazy bigger weaves that everyone's using, which is like the new 25K weaves. You can see, so I think it's a 12K. I don't know the exact number. It's not super important anyways. You can see how the weave is smaller, just like the smaller weave on Pro Stock Hockey Sticks, but it's not like the newer ones like Bauer and Sherwood are using. So no interesting taper or anything like that as well. Just straight up standard taper all the way through. This is a very standard stick that you would think of when you're looking at hockey sticks with no crazy tech or anything. Obviously, it's a budget stick. No paper or sandpaper finish or press finish on the blade either. Just totally gloss right there. And it does have a grip throughout the whole thing up there as well. Now these I don't think are advertised as a kick. I looked on their site really quickly. If not, I'll overlay the different what it actually says, but plays like a high kick basically. And it's might be advertised as a mid, but doesn't play like a mid, like a Nexus mid. It plays like a Supreme mid. That's how it feels. So the grip is nothing special in terms of like how it feels or anything. It just feels like a grip. There's no texture or like raise or anything on there. But it actually feels pretty substantial, and it does feel like it's pretty thick. It feels very solid. I actually think the Pro Stock one feels a little bit less grippy, and it feels a little higher end. It feels like a little more grippy, and it feels like a little not quite as nice. That's a personal preference thing, and I definitely think Bauer and Pro are definitely on a higher level than this. But this is actually pretty solid overall, and it felt pretty good in terms of an actual grip feeling when using it and everything. For the tests on the glove, again, grippier than like some of the other sticks, but feels really good grip and feels solid all the way through, and is actually one of the really surprising parts to this. I figured if one of these cheaper, more budget sticks, the grips would kind of be bad. A lot of companies are getting worse and worse on grips. This stick's grip is very solid. Shaft shape is your rounded square with slight concave walls. It's ever so slightly concave, and you can barely see it. Rounded sidewalls with ever so slightly concave walls, but it's like barely noticeable, as you can see. Very little concaveness there and pretty square. And overall, it just feels very traditional, boring shaft shape compared to like all the companies now. It just feels like standard bog issue hockey stick that there's not a lot put behind it. And that's just how it feels. Like there's nothing crazy here. It's just a rounded square feeling. Takes up a lot of space in your hand because of that shape. Kind of closer to a Supreme than anything else. So for weight and balance on this stick, obviously this is not a $400 stick. It's not a $300 stick. It's a super budget stick, and it comes in at around 420 grams, which is very, very off of what all the current sticks are. Now, with that said, it actually feels very well balanced in your hand. And while it is 420 grams, it doesn't actually feel that heavy, and it feels pretty, like the balance is very good. So I was really also surprised at this. When using it, the balance is good enough, and I never really felt like I was losing out on a ton. There is, because it is heavier than the sticks I'm using right now, especially like I'm using an Agent Trigger 7 Pro and like Jet Speed FT5 Pro, you do lose out on some hand movements for speed, especially like trying to pull things away really quickly. But overall, it wasn't bad. The balance on it was pretty solid, and it definitely kind of contributes to the whole true swing weight thing, where while this is a heavy stick, the balance is in the right spot. It doesn't play as heavy as it actually measures. So it's a pretty solid take in that sense. So I got to give him credit for that too, where this could have just been a super either blade heavy or top heavy, and it just doesn't work out that well. But it's not. It's a pretty well balanced stick overall, and it's nothing to really complain about. And I actually used a lighter Sherwood stick that was also a budget, and that one I had a lot more balance issues than what this one did, just because of the weight on it doesn't feel quite right. This one felt actually pretty good, even though it was a heavier puck feel, is where this stick gets really interesting. Obviously, again, me hitting these doesn't really tell the whole story of what the puck feel is. But this blade is dead. It feels like it's bad. And this is kind of where that budget part comes into, right? This is what the basically AliExpress Chinese sticks from just random factories come into play for this stick, and specifically how the blade feel is, because it feels like someone who made this stick doesn't really understand what's going behind the blade feel. I love dampened blades, something the Nexus, Geo, and Sync do pretty well. This is kind of dampened because you can't really, like, it doesn't translate the puck feel to your hands, but it's to the point where it feels dead. When you have a stick like the Nexus, which is really good at it, it dampens the puck feel, but you still know exactly where the puck is and how it, like, everything comes off of it. This is like, I'm not gonna say too far past the spectrum, because the Supreme was even softer than Geo and it was fine. This is basically just whatever's in here doesn't translate up the shaft, and it's bad, and it feels extremely dead and awful. I would make passes with these, and I figured, whoa, I got that one off good, and it was terrible. I would accept a hard pass, and it would just like bounce off crazy, and I was like, that felt different. Just because the blade feel in this is very poor, and that's, again, that whole downside of when you're not actually really making sticks for a specific reason, and they're just kind of doing factory sticks where they make tons of them with no graphics for a ton of stores without really care. They have to hit a price point and that's it. That's what kind of comes into these factory of sticks and why it's a super budget stick basically. And it's just, yeah, it's not very good. That also leads into the whole passing part, where, I mean, passing with this stick overall is okay and fine because the balance is pretty good. It kind of helps with that too. The kick point is high as well, so you really have to try to shoot the puck in order to get the puck like springing off here for crazy shots and everything. It's an 85 and it feels like an 85. So passing like that was fine. It wasn't blew my mind, but it was just okay and everything was normal with it. But that dampening feel was just terrible for passing, but it doesn't really negate your ability to make passes and stuff like that. So it wasn't a huge issue overall. And because that is like a higher feeling kick point, again, it doesn't whip off the stick like that and make passes impossible. And so it's just okay in that sense, nothing special here, but it is what it is. So the size of the blade is actually surprisingly thin, and it's like as thin as what the Bauer is, or really close to it. Like this stick does have a pretty thin blade, so that's kind of impressive too. You expected that to be fat and terrible compared to like just how the puck feel and everything is, but it's a pretty thin blade. And saucing with this stick also, I think, helps with how thin this blade is honestly pretty good. Pucks were pretty controllable. Again, that puck feel is totally dead, so it kind of feels awful when you're doing it, but it was easy enough to hit where I was trying to go. It was easy enough to kind of balance the power and everything to get it to land where I wanted to. So overall, it was totally fine with that. Nothing surprising, which honestly is pretty surprising considering how bad the puck feel on this stick is. But the blade definitely worked well for that, and it was easy to lift off and easy to make passes and saucing. Now, before we jump into shooting, if you want to help support the channel so I keep doing more reviews and making more videos and doing like actual stick reviews and not just reviews like in my basement, please check out the links in the description. If you're in Canada, to Hockey Supremacy, from the US to Pure Hockey. Clicking those links and making a purchase gives me a kickback to help support the channel so I can make more content and do more videos. Otherwise, check out Patreon and buy me a coffee. Everything that goes through those links always comes back in the channel so I can keep buying more gear and doing real reviews. I don't get sent any of this stuff really, so I have to buy it in order to make the real reviews and not just all help would be greatly appreciated. Now, obviously the important part of this stick is shooting. And I mentioned it's like a high kick like the Supreme, and it is. It's not easy to shoot, and it's not a good shooting stick. If you like high kicks, it's gonna be a lot better for you. But kind of like how we talked about the Warrior Novium, where unless you get the right technique down and you're doing like not just slap shots, but you shoot a very specific way, this stick is not going to be great for you. Me using a bunch of low kicks and then going to this was awful. So it took me a while to get into kind of the groove of this, but even then it wasn't like, it's not a great shooting stick. It's just, just kind of like puck feel. Actually, puck feels worse than the shooting of this stick is. High to mid kick is going to be kind of okay, but nothing special. And I mean, what do you expect? It's a $129 stick. To me though, when using it, there's so many opportunities where I took a shot with it and I was just like, oh man, if I had a different stick, like I would have shot that better and it would have come off better. And that is a thing, and it happens. So it's disappointing in that sense. It's just not a great stick, but it's a budget stick. So you kind of have to tamper expectation there's a little bit, but it's nothing to write home about. And it's definitely something that I'm swapping out as soon as possible. And I obviously used it for a bit for reviewing and then got rid of it and moved on because of that fact. So overall, this is a budget stick that you have to think about and really look at. And the hard part about reviewing stuff like that is you have to kind of look at what is else out there. You obviously can't compare this to a top end stick because it's $129 you can get at all time. It's 420 grams. Compare it to other things on the site and just other things out there. One is this Pro Stick, which Hockey Stick Man also sells directly and it's for a little bit more. Get the Pro Stick. It's better in every single way. This stick, the puck feel on this is so awful. Get the Pro Stick in every single way. Like that's just the only way you can really go there. It's just so much better. And they're selling them now, so you can buy them directly through them, and it's not like a thing you got to buy through Pro, which I still think you should buy through Pro because you can get a ton of custom options and stuff. But I understand that the Hockey Stick Man version of it is also there. So take a look at that before you take a look at this one, because it's pretty disappointing in the grand scheme of things. If you need a cheap stick at that price, even then, you can buy Pro Stocks on Hockey Stick Man website for pretty close to what this one is. It's $129. You might have to pay 20 bucks more, but spend the $20 more. You're going to get a better stick and it's just going to be better all around. So what kind of is the point of it? This is kind of the thing where there's like a dime a dozen companies selling Chinese made factory sticks with different logos and stuff on them and say theirs is better than competitors. You have to prove it because this is majority of what they feel like and play like, and it's not very good at all. Pro is kind of the exception and why I'm very happy to use and why I bought a bunch of custom ones of them and stuff like that. So I shouldn't say disappointed because it is a $129 stick, but I mean, it is what it is. And I don't really want to keep using it. And I have friends that have bought $100 Sherwoods from Costco, and those are way better sticks than what this one is. So that's about it. So first of all, huge thank you for Hockey Stick Man for sending me this stick to do a review on. Sorry it took a long time. It should have come out a long time ago, but hey, it's here now, so here it is. And sorry I don't have like B-roll footage and stuff of this a lot. I'm in a time crunch to do these videos, and I have a screwed up wrist, so if I don't have a shooting video, if I haven't shot previously before I screwed up my wrist, I can't do shooting videos for this just because I can't do any more damage to it. But that's about it for this video. Hopefully it was helpful. Remember to subscribe to me on YouTube, follow me on Instagram and TikTok. Links are in the description. If you want to help support channels so I keep making more reviews and doing more content, remember this stick was free, and this is the review of it. So usually I have to buy gear, and that is very expensive. But if you're buying hockey equipment and you're in Canada, check out the links in the description to Hockey Supremacy. If you're in the US, check out Pure Hockey. Clicking either of those links, making a purchase gives me a kickback so I keep buying more gear and doing more reviews on. It'd be greatly appreciated. People want me to see me review the CCM ASV Pro, and right now, unfortunately, it's not in the budget for sticks at the time. So if you want to see that, reach out to them and let them know type thing. Otherwise, if you want to support the channel, check out Patreon, buy me a coffee. Everything through there always comes back in the channel so I keep making more content and doing more reviews. Thank you very much for watching, and take it easy.
You're watching HockeyReviews.ca.